Howdy, Possum Patty here, and today I'm going to tell you about that old friend that I met. Well, Mr. Possum and I went to the Big E, which is the New England States Expo. So Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut get together and have one great big, like, state fair. There used to be a state fair in Connecticut. That was the Danbury State Fair that I went to when I was a child, but now it's one great big one. And it's Agawam, Massachusetts, near Springfield, Massachusetts. So, it's like a state fair. There's a big area where there's rides and amusements and games, and they have exhibits and lots of food and lots of food. And then each state has its own state house. And so you can go through the state houses and they tell you some things about each state, and they have special food from each state. And of course there's vendors, and then there's the big Better Living building where Titi's pushing on the computer, where they have all that as seen on TV, gizmos and gadgets for sales, and they have some crafters there. It's a fun day. Mr. Possum liked to go and get a good lunch and walk around. I think we walked like 3.5 miles that day, which was amazing for me. So we did sit down and take breaks. And there's a lot of different things going on. So we were going through the state houses, and we went into the Rhode Island house, and we were in the Jack-o'-lantern spectacular exhibit. Now this is a big celebration they have at the zoo. It's at the Roger Williams Park Zoo in Rhode Island, near where my son lives. And while we were in there, somebody popped up by a pumpkin. And so this is Flat Stanley. Now, a lot of people might remember Flat Stanley from back in the 60s and 70s and maybe the 80s. He sort of got a makeover, I think, for the 90s and after that. But this is the original Flat Stanley from, it's 50 years ago. Quite a few years ago. And he had been a part of my classroom adventures, like 20 years ago. And I hadn't seen him for a while. Titi, stop pushing on a computer. And I hadn't seen him for a while. And there he was at the state fair, waving howdy. Look at him, he's waving howdy. Well, Flat Stanley decided that he would come home with me and help me go on some adventures, because I don't have any grandchildren to take on adventures with me. So I will be taking Flat Stanley on all my Possum Patty adventures. This cat's being funny. Stop it. And yes, so he will be popping up. Hard to do this with this cat here. He will be popping up on the Possum Patty adventures. I did find the original journal of his adventures from 20 years ago, and I'm thinking that I may put some of these pages in my journal. Here is his first adventure, where he went to Possum Jr.'s house, and these are so cute. The kids either took a picture or drew a picture of themselves and wrote the story. So Stanley got to go to dancing lessons. Stanley got to help a student's father peel wallpaper off the wall. That was at Christian's house. These children are all grown-ups now. This is 20 years ago. He went swimming. He went to the Royals hockey game. Love that. I love children's art. Children's art's my favorite. Look at the net. He helped this student do his homework and then a basketball game. Went to a basketball game. He went with Nani and Pop Pop and Flat Stanley. Oh, they got together and played a card game. Dominic DiGiacomo, right? Olivia. What did he do with Olivia? He went to the Philadelphia Flower Show with Olivia. These are first graders that did this. With Madison Joe, they watched a movie and they went outside and they came in to have dinner and she read him a story. And then they went to get ice cream. Jesse Conrad took Flat Stanley to SeaWorld in Orlando. Look at that. And they went to the alligator farm. It said, we got splashed by the orca whale and got soaked. And the last day we went to the alligator farm. Oh, I see. So this is the whale. Oh, this is funny. This is the whale, the orca whale, splashing Jesse and Flat Stanley over here. See them down there in the corner. I love these stories. Flat Stanley went to Kyle Vu's first baseball game. Mackenzie took him to the eye doctors with her mother and sister. I guess her sister got contacts. Let's see, with Madeline, he went swimming, and then they went to Dairy Queen and had breakfast, and they went to the dentist, so they had their teeth cleaned. Oh my gosh, look at that. What an exciting week for Flat Stanley. He's been to the eye doctor, he's been to the dentist, he's been to Florida, he's been to a hockey game. And let's see, they went to the aunts. Oh, he's just continuing his week over here. All right, next he went to see a student's new house and bedroom. And this is Flat Stanley. They bought funny glasses, so she drew Flat Stanley with the big nose and funny glasses. They went to the party store, and Flat Stanley told her to buy funny glasses with the big nose, and he said everybody would look so silly. And with Thomas, he went to a Phillies baseball game. And with Noah, he went to karate lessons. Looks like he's got a green belt. And with Carly, went to the pool. She did a lot of swimming. And then Flat Stanley took a really big trip. He went to China. He went to China with Leah, and her parents were adopting a Chinese baby. So Flat Stanley went to China. Isn't that exciting? So Flat Stanley has been around the world, let me tell you. So now Flat Stanley's going to go on Possum Patty adventures. So today in my journal, I am just going to do a little page about the Big E. Okay, some of you, just maybe one or two, may be wondering who Flat Stanley is. Well, Flat Stanley is a character in a children's book written by Jeff Brown, pictures by Scott Nash. This was first published in 1964 Copyright renewed in 1992, and illustrations were copyrighted in 2003. So this is a story about Stanley, who is flattened by a bulletin board, and then he is able to travel through the mail in an envelope to visit his friend in California. Now you can send your own flat Stanley on a new adventure through the mail. First, draw your own flat Stanley, cut him out, write your name and address on his back, then begin a journal recording some of your adventures with Stanley. When you are ready, mail flat Stanley and the journal to a friend. Include a letter asking your friend to add Stanley's new adventures to the journal. Then when Stanley's ready to come home, have your friend return him and the journal to you. Upon his return, you can mark Stanley's travels on a map and keep track of his world travels, and then you can send him out again. And there's a website, flatstanleyproject.com, which I don't know if that's still up and running. I bet you it is. I have a cat sitting right here, as you can see. And so this little piece of cardboard was his flat Stanley. But you can also see that he is been around the world. He's a little bit dirty and a little bit bent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue him down to a stronger piece, a sturdier piece of cardboard, and cut him out. And Mr. Possum suggests I put a little loop on the back so that I can put, you know, like a stick there to hold him out to have his picture taken. So this is Flat Stanley, who loves to go on adventures. And I just showed you the original journal from about 20 years ago of his adventures, Florida, China, doing all kinds of activities with the children. And now he is back home, and I have adopted him. He is now my official grandchild, Flat Stanley, and he will be going on many adventures with me. So I'm going to do a page in my Hello Autumn journal about the Big E, and I will put Flat Stanley there. So I got out my Hello Autumn journal, and I want to put in a couple of pages about the fair. And I copied Flat Stanley, and I want to journal about him. Now, if you're selling a journal, you cannot use copyrighted images. But if you're personally journaling about Flat Stanley, you can put them in your personal journal. And, okay, this page is not put together yet, but I'm thinking about this page with the pocket, put some things from the fair in the pocket, and then, I don't know, maybe doing a tipping thing for Flat Stanley. I know I have this gorgeous fall scrapbooking paper, and my idea is to just cover it up with Flat Stanley, but you know, that's how it goes. I can always put some paper here and something here with some pictures. Okay, I printed out the picture of Stanley with the pumpkins. This is my very first Stanley picture. And this was in the Spectacular exhibit. There's me. All the jack-o'-lanterns hanging on the tree. And then I have a picture of Stanley, the Connecticut farm grown. And I got a picture of Stanley and me in New Hampshire building. And I got a picture of Stanley at the pickle vendor, which is in Vermont. So I want to do a Vermont page, a New Hampshire page, and a Connecticut farm page, and let's see, and me and Stanley in the Spectacular pumpkin page, and some journaling. And then in the pocket I might put the Big E brochure. Maybe I'll put that in there. And I have some other things I could put in there too. Okay, so that's my plan. I know that's a lot of plan, right? I could use this paper. Now I could hide Stanley. So when you open the flap, he's there. Or I could put Stanley on the outside. Put that on the inside. And let Stanley be a surprise. Maybe I will let Stanley be a surprise. Okay, I'm going to do some engineering on Stanley's first page, and then I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, I have an idea now for this first page. And the first page is about the Rhode Island house, the jack-o'-lantern spectacular, or spooktacular as I like to call it, which is going to be a flip open on this page. I use the scrapbook paper in the background that is the same as this paper over here, which looks like it's on upside down, but I think they go in all different directions. And then I took some other paper from that same pack and made a frame around. Now this was a flyer, it looks like this, that I give out with information about going to this at the, I said this before, right? Roger Williams Park Zoo. And then I took a piece of this scrapbook paper and cut out this pumpkin and this white pumpkin and these little flowers and added them on like a little bit of ephemera there. Inside, like I showed you before, I have the copy of the Flat Stanley, cover of the Flat Stanley book. And this is going to open like this. So this paper is going to be my hinge. And I'm going to glue down this pumpkin paper because it's all about pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. And I did cut this, yeah, I cut this to size. I might distress around here a little bit. I did distress around the edge of that. It was looking too clean. It's an old Stanley book. It should look a little used, right? And then I'm going to add another flip. And this one has my journaling on a cut apart. Some more of that daisy paper, like what's behind there. And the picture of me at the spectacular. Okay, and that's gonna go it's gonna go somewhere here, like that. Okay. Like that. This is gonna be way over there. So this is gonna, whoop, it'll all get together, okay. And then this is gonna be there. So you have to open this and then open this. And then here, I was thinking, look, there's an old television set here. I was thinking of getting a knife and cutting this out and putting this picture of Stanley in the television set. Isn't that so cool? Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then I might not put this whole thing. I might just put from here to here. And this is going to cover up the TV so you can't see Stanley until I open that up. So that's all my paper engineering. I'm just going to go ahead, now that I showed it to you, glue it all on there and come back and show you the finished product. And while I'm gluing, you could either fast forward or here's the United States Marine Band for your entertainment. Well, I didn't mean for this to get so involved, but it did. I put a lot of layers on the cover, and then you flip it open and there's flat Stanley, and then I have my journaling, how I met him at the Rhode Island house, and that flips open and there I am with the pumpkin tree, and there's Stanley waving howdy in the television. The theme of this year's Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular is 75 years of television. So there's I Love Lucy, and I can't see what that is, but this is Survivor. And then a bunch of pumpkins up there. That is all from the flyer. And then I thought I needed to add more, right? So I had an extra one of these brochures. Well, I had one. Mr. Possum had one, of course. And I cut out the bird and I put him up there. And then I cut it at the big E down here. So I think that is quite enough for that page. Wow. Yes. Yes, ma'am. That is getting chunky, chunky. On this side, I took one of the cut-aparts from this paper pack, but I love fall most of all. And I just cut around the words because it was very dark and glued it down. And in here so far, I think I have a few more things to put here, but this is the other brochure, and it tells you, this little bird, he's like the mascot, right? There's a map of all the things that are going on, some advertisements, schedules on the back. So I'll keep this as a souvenir. And this was in the Massachusetts house. Greetings from Massachusetts. So I will put that in there for now. So these two pages are done, but we're not done with the big E yet. Oh, I think I glued my pages together. Because Possum Patty is glue crazy. When Possum Patty glues something down, she wants it to stay down. Okay, so we have to do a pickle page, and the pickles are in the Vermont. But maybe, I don't know, this is Vermont here. I could do a simple page. Like that. And then I do have me and Stanley in the New Hampshire house. And I have him in the Connecticut house. So I did have things for this, but kind of getting carried away here with all this stuff. Oh, here's another Massachusetts. Move that out of the way. Okay, this is New Hampshire right here. And that goes with the bears. That goes with the bears, and that goes with the bears. And throw that down there. Vermont. This is very pretty. Let's see. I could use one of these. Pages like that. I'm trying to use up these brochures that I got at the fair, right? That only makes sense, right? Right? So maybe I can use this as the background. Okay, so I cut the brochure down, and I love this picture with the trees and their fall colors for Vermont. So I have this border I cut from this page of borders. This is actually a different paper pack than that one. These are two old Michael paper packs, but I love the colorful leaves. And how I thought of this I decided just to cover that up. And when I cut it, most of that colorful tree that was over here got cut out. So I said, well, I can put some leaves back in by adding that. And I think I'm just going to make this a simple page. Glue all over my fingers. Now I was thinking of backing this, but if I back this on here, then you don't get to see the beautiful leaves. So maybe I'll just paste this down here, paste this over here, and maybe I'll cut out a couple of these leaves and just kind of decorate the page a little bit and see how that looks. Just a little bit. I could put one up there maybe. Not too much. It's going to be a simple page. I mean, I did 2 heavy interactive pages here. And this might get some more stuff in the pocket. So I'm going to try and do 2 flatter pages here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the border down. Maybe I'll distress it. Maybe. So another thing at the Big E Fair is they have a little colonial village, and it has, you know, artisan shops and things like that. And there's a Christmas shop. And the Christmas shop has a Halloween section, which is a lot of fun to visit in the fall. And Stanley got all excited in the Christmas section, so he had to have his picture taken there. And then they have an old forge. Now this is an original forge that was moved from someplace more northern in New England. I forgot it was New Hampshire or Vermont. And they were working the forge that day. And I love to go in and see the forge because it reminds me of my grandfather, who in his old house in Ridgefield, Connecticut, had a forge in the back building. Well, you have to understand the house was built pre-Revolutionary War, and he said it was a cobbler shop. And he had the cobbler shop in the basement. It was kind of a walkout basement. And then he built the building behind. The glue was empty already. And he put a forge in there with a huge bellows, just like the one that was in the blacksmith shop at the fair. I'm looking for something. Spread my glue around. Got something on it. And yeah, so I enjoyed that. So we sat in there a while and watched him making things. And he was talking about how everything from household hinges that you had on your cabinets and doors to nails and everything had to be made by the blacksmith. Which I thought was interesting. And if you've ever been to the village at the Ford Museum in Michigan, the colonial village out there, a lot of that blacksmith stuff was actually donated by my grandfather. All those tools and things. Yeah, when before he passed away, he donated all of his things to that museum. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these out. Yeah, well, you know, I knew Vermont was well known for its cheese and maybe a few other products, but I didn't know it was known for its pickles. But this pickle stand was called Finale Ferments, and they were selling pickles on a stick and different flavors. Pickles on a stick. So I cut out a couple leaves. I'm just going to have them falling through the pitcher like that. And this page will be done, and I might just end it here because I think I still have like 2 more pages to go. I'm looking for the glue stick I just threw in the trash, right? The brain, you know, she's a broke. I just threw it away and now I'm looking for it. I do have another one, but I have to go over there and get it and open it up. So I'm just going to put some tacky glue on these leaves. Yeah, so pickles on a stick. They sell all kinds of unhealthy, delicious food at the fair. You know, you got your fried Oreos and all that stuff. There's a bakery at the fair that's famous for its cream puffs. I might turn this. I'm not sure where I want it. I think I'll stick it up here. And the green one. So I will either finish this tomorrow morning if I get some quiet time before Mr. Possum wakes up, or later in the day, but I will come back and show you the rest of the fair pictures. All sticky. I have everything strewn across the floor right now. So I'm going to do the bear page, and that is New Hampshire. And I am going to do the Connecticut page. That's going to be a farm page. So I wound up not using this beautiful postcard on this page because I wanted that paper that filled up the whole background. So I'm going to put for now, the Vermont in here with the Massachusetts and the brochure. And so again, this was, yeah, I did some work today, didn't I? I did this page and that page and this page. And I will probably leave this to dry for a little while. And then I'll probably put the bears over there. And then do a Connecticut farm page maybe over there. And that'll be my the New England States Expo adventure. And I have more adventures to put in here too. So thanks for coming along today, and stay tuned for those other adventures. Bye-bye.